Hello and welcome to another edition of Stand Out in 60 Seconds, a weekly conversation on just one topic: how to stand out. Standing out is not about being loud or busy or having a big mustache. We take one lever of standing out, one idea, 20 minutes, one expert talking about something that we can pick up and use immediately. We have already covered levers of image, ideas, positioning, and today's lever is about voice, the soul, and signal. And we have someone here to come and whisper about it to us. Welcome, Ganesh Vancheeswaran.
Thank you, Pravin.
Let's start with Ganesh. What is brand whispering all about?
Brand whispering is, I think, absolutely topical for the times, and I'm happy to have been known this way. I think it's the antidote to our times, the antidote to the loudness, to the noise, and to the constant signaling we hear. So, whispering in this context is a call to go silent, to pause, to reflect, to look inwards, and to really look at and notice nuances, the finer details.
Beautiful. To pause, to look within, to listen within yourself, and maybe
Yes,
find out what's your voice and amplify that. But that
yes.
leads me to a very, very strategic question, a question that has been asked by a lot of people. Why do so many brands and people sound articulate and polished, yet leave no lasting impression at all? And you are the brand guy. So, what is happening here?
Okay, on a personal note, forever, even before I became a marketer and a brand consultant, this aspect has been a turn off for me. I remember that even from the offline days when you would learn about brands from business magazines, conversations, newspapers, or even from people, it was a turn off. I think as a race, no, Praveen, I think what is happening now is uh, this herd mentality is becoming very, very strong. I think it's becoming overpowering here. And most of us are caught in that, unfortunately, right? We find ourselves in the middle of what we think is a herd, and there's a lot of signaling, a lot of content being put out there, people airing their perspectives, and we do unfortunately fall into the trap of thinking, hey, because some 10 people are saying something or something similar, there's a pattern. I need to say the same thing too, and I need to say it in the same way. It's come down the same way, right? That's important. So it's come down to the even the phraseology, even the lingo, the words used, the way sentences and paras are constructed. It is hilarious. It is silly. It is unfortunate. I'm just stating it as it is. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm making no bones about this. But unfortunately, it is all this silly, not necessary. And LinkedIn is an echo chamber in the professional sense. It's becoming
Oh, yes.
more and more
Yeah.
of a right. So one has to be cautious about all this. So I think why, in answer to your question, is the herd mentality, the impression or the notion we've been conditioned to carry that what if 10 other people are doing something, then it must be right. That's another notion that's feeding into us. And this whole thing about wanting to sound perfect, the notion that perfection is equal to success.
And ChatGPT is not helping by putting everything picture perfect with an M dash.
ChatGPT is not helping at all. ChatGPT is in fact making us sound more and more and more the same.
Ooh. So a play of words here. You warned us about herd mentality, and everybody wants to be the same way, do the same thing. So we are moving to where the audience says, "Give me something new." This I have already heard mentality.
Ah, yeah. So I think we now need the consumers, the audience, to start speaking up.
Yes.
Yeah, saying herd mentality, HEARD. Yes, I think they need to speak up.
Now, Ganesh, you work with a lot of leaders, with CEOs. This question is pertinent to how you have interacted.
Okay.
What is the most common self deception you see when people say, "This is who I really am," but nothing about them stands out? Do they even know who they really are, or is it just a reflection, deflection from something they have seen?
Yeah, I think it is the reflection deflection syndrome. From my experience, I think people have not mined themselves enough, Praveen. I would put that out as the one biggest factor or reason or whatever you call it. So they have not mined themselves. I'm just repeating this enough. So what does that mean? That means as a professional, you journey for X number of years. See, let's be honest about something else also. There are nuances here. I'm not saying that everyone who gets out of college and starts working, instantly knows themselves, in the early 20s, mid 20s. No, that's too much to ask for. It's a journey, it's an unraveling of experiences. We must give it time. But what happens is, because your question is also about leaders,
Yes.
people who are 15 years into their career, 25 years into their career, I find the same syndrome there. And that's, I think, unfortunate. So, not mining yourself enough means that along the way, month to month, year to year, over these 20 years, you have to pause. You have to just look at yourself. You must ask yourself, who am I? Where do I see myself in this professional journey? Why am I doing business as a founder, as a senior corporate professional, as a whatever, right? As a creator, anything you might call yourself. Why am I here? What is it that I'm working towards or journeying towards? What are some of my personality traits that I can bring into my work, into the work that I offer? What is it that my heart really wants in a professional context? So, if you were to ask yourself these questions, and there are a few more, but you get the drift, a few of these questions time and again, chances are that you will end up learning more and more, peeling off layer after layer about yourself over a period of time. So, which means that by the time you're in your 15th year, 12th year, 10th year, whatever X number of years, you realize that, there is a self awakening that has happened in you. And I've found, Praveen, this is absolutely, I can say this, without apology, without a hint of hesitation, that those people I've met who are self realized to some extent, self aware, self awakened, have journeyed through these questions. And their language, their voice, what they do and what they say is very different.
This is brilliant. But the very fact that one needs a self awakening, and there are
Mhm.
very few people who get that awakening from within, means there has to be an external force. There's got to be some trigger outside, which could also be brand whisperers like you who kick butt and put those
Yes,
questions, force people to answer by
yes,
themselves for themselves,
that's right.
without which there is no clarity.
That's
Wow.
right. That's
So at
right.
some point,
Yeah,
at
very, very often a stimulus is required. Sometimes life, their journey, that provides the stimulus, itself. Otherwise, someone like me comes in, to nudge, to give them a poke in the ribs, and sometimes to just kick ass. You're right.
So it's either one tight slap or the fear of that one tight slap,
Or the fear of, yeah,
figuratively.
yeah, yeah, or just the sight of the palm. But this is, see, this is tough love. I've also realized that so many people, so many of us need tough love, but we do not realize that we need it. The minute it's like saying, I know beauty when I see it, but I can't articulate beauty. It's just like that.
Ah,
The fact that we all need tough love at certain junctures of our life is an established fact for myself. I've learned
ah.
it by myself from my journey and by doing this in my work with so many other people, by showing this.
Oh, of course, Ganesh, you've reviewed three of my books, you've edited three of my books, and you showed me significant tough love in each of them.
Yeah, yeah, right, right.
Ah, good. Now, you position yourself as a whisperer. And I love that concept because in theater, also, if you really want to be heard, can you lower your voice and the audience tunes into what you have to say rather than just being loud? You work deeply with the idea of a brand having a soul. How can someone tell if their voice is lived or merely performed if my voice has a voice?
Meaning, if I'm listening to you,
Yes.
how can I tell if yours is lived or performed, being performed?
Yes.
It
And of
takes
course, with your self reflection also that comes in.
Sure, sure, sure. So for the audience who's getting these signals, who's hearing something from somebody, I think it takes a bit of time. It takes a few exposures. Yeah, it may not be evident in the first couple of exposures, may not be. Uh, a classic giveaway is a pattern about sounding the same and sounding ChatGPT like, sounding, mirroring or echoing
Right.
what many other people are saying. That's a put off. So in the first few interactions, whether it's content or product or store or wherever that interaction has been, if you find this, that's a turn off that you can make out. Another thing is that the product, the offering itself does not deliver. It does not deliver. So there's a lot of talk, right? There's a lot of hype in their content. But then when you actually try to avail the service or have a genuine conversation with them,
Oh,
then you're shocked. It's a whole different deal. You're left wondering if it's the same person or the same brand. So these are junctures where I'm finding a lot of people discovering and being disappointed today. So that keeps you going.
oh,
But if this at the same time, if there is, I love to call this, texture. There is texture in the person's voice, in the person's content, in the person's perspectives. That adds a lot of heft to that brand, right? So it signals me that, hey, I think this person has actually lived through all this, yeah. This person or this company outfit, they've lived through this. They've journeyed, they've struggled, they've won, they've lost, and then they're speaking.
beautiful word, Ganesh. Texture, immediately, it's not just the way it looks, but the way it feels. And here the feel is mental. That's something that we can go ahead and look at. Brilliant, brilliant. And of course, reality over hype. You can have a brilliant trailer, but if the movie doesn't reflect what you saw in the trailer, you'll be
Absolutely.
left disappointed.
Yes, and we've all seen this, movie theater, the theater cinema hall effect, right? That syndrome. People coming out, they're either dissing. They're very clear. They're either dissing the movie, right? The toughest critics in the world, the toughest consumers are the movie consumers, right? Some of the toughest consumers. So
Yes.
if a movie is F all, you would actually come out and say it is bad, and that word spreads to 100 other people. And see, for example, there are many films that I have not ventured to watch because I've heard three of my friends speak bad about it. That's all it takes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, so in a brand context, I'm just saying that if you don't deliver, if there is only hype and then it all turns out to be a bubble, it's going to seriously impact your business.
The next one, Ganesh, we've been brought up saying imitation is the best form of flattery,
Yeah.
and therefore beg, borrow, steal, do whatever. In your experience, do brands stand out more by discovering the true voice or by unlearning all this borrowed language culture first?
I think both go hand in hand, Praveen. I was just mulling over for a few seconds whether there is a first or there is a sequence about how these things should happen. But no, I find that both of these are important and they go hand in hand. Uh, Unlearning, conditioning, moving away from that and from borrowed language, as you said, the borrowed voice, I think that's a lifelong effort. Okay, lifelong effort. So where I find more businesses, more brands, whether that's personal brand or an entity, company, anything, doesn't matter. The finding your voice, finding your brand's soul is critical. Of the two, that is the bigger lever. I would think that's the biggest lever. So if you journey into that, and some of the questions that I mentioned earlier, we spoke about going inwards, pausing, asking ourselves certain questions, speaking to our consumers to figure out what it is that they actually want, and are we on the same wavelength? Things like that helps you discover your voice, the soul of your brand, what I call the soul, the essence, what you stand for. I think that's a big lever. And then what happens is, as part of this, I've found time and again that the unlearning automatically happens or is automatically accelerated. So, in other words, this enables that, is another way of looking at it.
Brilliant. This is about standing out with your voice, but you're going right down to the basic. Find out what's your voice, find out
Yeah,
what's your soul. Ask yourself these questions. And when I know who I am very clearly, then my voice comes out that much more confidently. It's like, Ganesh, you and I have this experience when the teacher asks us to stand and ask a question. If we
right.
know the answer, we just start with our loud voice and booming. And halfway through, we realize we don't know the full answer, and the voice just goes down, down.
Correct, correct. Yeah, till the point when we look at everyone slightly abashedly, right? So then we realize we're a little embarrassed. So yeah, something similar happened. So I've realized, Praveen, that it's happened with me again personally in my business, my brand, but in business after business. The minute you, and it's not, I say a minute, but it's not overnight at all. It takes time, right? Like we've established earlier. So you find your voice, you find what it is that you truly are, you mine your inner strengths, strengths that you can carry into your business. You find the special way in which you add value to your customer, how you make a difference. And this can come from many ways. There are different ways in which you can add value, but you find that way, or one or two ways. You find the soul of your brand, what it is you stand for. You find that one big idea or question or philosophy that your brand stands for. Yeah, you make a bold claim about the business you're in, the field you're in, right? You start coming up with these things. And also, as part of this, you own your story. Own your story means that I own my journey, I own where I am now, and I'm comfortable with what I am, where I am, and how I've come here. So, if you put all these together, man, the way your voice changes, the way your positioning changes, the way your confidence changes is brilliant.
Wow. Ganesh, a very practical question to you at the moment. What inner discomfort do people avoid that keeps them, sounding safe, polite in a very conforming, or the word that you use, the same way,
Okay.
offense? Why?
Acha, why do more and more people, what is it that's stopping them from
There's
breaking out
something
of
that's,
this?
yeah, internally, or my culture is stopping. What is that
What is
discomfort?
it?
How do I
Yeah.
point my finger at it? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll speak for an individual and for an organization.
Oh, yes.
For personal brands, that is for individual entrepreneurs, freelancers, creators, um, it is the fear of that I'm not enough. I'll say this again. The notion that I am not enough, which links back to certain points I made earlier about owning your story, coming into your own, being comfortable in your own professional skin. So, not being or not thinking that I'm not enough makes us hesitate. It leads to certain other things. It leads to the fear of so called failure, so called rejection, right? Whether people will judge me, whether people will think, oh, this guy is just a pretender, nothing. There are, I know better, or there are many more specialists. And then there is the race mentality along with this, the race, the fact that we are all in a same lane trying to outdo one another, and that the whole game is about who's going to hit the goal first or who's going to breast the tape first. I think a combination of these two notions is what is pushing us into the safe zone or keeping us in the safe zone. Polite, chat GPT, copy paste content. Yeah, because 10 others on my feed are sounding the same way. I must talk about the same point.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it really comes down to these two issues or two factors, in my opinion, more so in the case of individual brands, personal brands. For organizations, it's slightly different. Pretty much the same thing about what do I say about the mold or the conditioning is there, but here there is a question of revenues. Here there is a question of having a team, having complicated silos, having businesses that need to grow. Yeah, so many mouths to feed. There is a reputation out there. You've been in business for so long. So I think it's the safety net that is created by all these factors. The fact that you do have a revenue target that you must go after, and that there are many more stakeholders in the whole thing. The
Oh.
number of stakeholders adds a significant dimension to this whole business of whether I should stay safe or can I disrupt something.
And it also throws in different kinds of fears into it, Ganesh. With more
Yes,
stakeholders, how many people do I answer?
yes.
That is kind of a put downer. Well, I come from the outlier school. I do it first and apologize later, but
Yeah, yeah,
that is
same
that
here.
is not acceptable. I mean, not acceptable to all of them. Which we know that, but
Yes, yes, yes.
that's
Absolutely. So, I mean, you and I are the kind who just shoot first and said, oh, did it hurt? But in all honesty, and yeah, to be fair, many organizations can't do this. And then there is the founder syndrome. So that's the last part of my answer. Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. So the founder syndrome is especially evident, or it especially rubs off on startups, right? On startups and early stage ventures. So Not all startups, I mean, despite whatever we hear on social media again, which is the echo chamber, not all startups are here to fail fast or to hustle or,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
grand
yeah.
ambitions of growth. It's not that at all. There are many, many early stage ventures, many ventures, even mature ones, who say, look, the founder's mentality, personality, makeup is play safe, take it easy. Let me just conform. It's about conforming. Yeah, so those organizations will automatically be that
What a beautiful statement that not all startups are in the fail fast, fail early, get rich quick Ponzi scheme. There
way.
are a few who are there for the longer haul. They mean
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
One final question to seal the day. If someone wants to stand out this year without shouting, posting endlessly, performing online stunts, what inner shift must happen first to help them stand out?
yeah. Okay. Again, unapologetically, I'm saying this, find the soul of your brand. I think that time has come. That time has come, and more people, I think, in the coming years, starting now, will appreciate. A growing tribe is already appreciating the need for this. More and more will appreciate this. Many of them will do so after burning their fingers by going, the copycat way, the loud way. But I think the time has come. Sit back, slow down, reflect, answer those questions that we've spoken about earlier for yourself, for your business. I think that is the starting point, and that's going to be the foundation of standing out this year. So when you do that, like I'm just repeating this because it is important. Like I said earlier, certain other things will follow. You will automatically slow down. You will realize that this is not a hustle, this is not a race towards anywhere. You will realize that you have to just work with yourself and improve over yourself. Yeah, your version of yesterday, your version of today is slightly better than your version of yesterday. Day by day, just get better. You will realize that by pausing and by strategically putting your content out there, you will actually be mirroring your soul. You will let your soul
Oh,
speak. Your brand soul that you've identified, let it speak. When it speaks, that your voice will come out. So I think these two or three things, Praveen, I think I'm very convinced. Yeah, I think that's what is going to make a difference in this year and in the next decade. And
ah,
this is going to help your business stand out.
brilliant, Ganesh. In 20 minutes, how many punchlines can you give? I've made a note of it. I'm still old school and taking my notes. Whispering is an antidote to get your voice out to stand out. Be aware of the herd mentality. Why? If your voice could get invisible in that part, find a de echo chamber, mind yourself. What's the texture of your voice? What a beautiful word that you're leaving us with, Ganesh. There's always a special way in which you add value. You'll have to find that. Be
Yeah.
aware of the founder syndrome. Get away from the imposter syndrome of I'm not enough. Each of us has that
Yes.
speciality, that one aspect that will help us find our soul, amplify that soul which makes us our voice. Ganesh, thank you very much for participating and sharing your thoughts on standing out by just whispering your voice.
We might have started the conversation with a whisper, but we're ending this with a bang. So can I add one more thing, Praveen,
Yes,
yeah,
please.
just to complete the thought. I think all of us have to take something to heart here, and this is going to be more and more true in the years to come. Whatever we've been conditioned to think of as soft skills, soft in the business world, right, uh, is now becoming the essential, are now becoming essential skills, vital skills. So I'd like a reframe. I'm suggesting a reframe. Soft skills are not soft skills. Soft skills are vital skills. We should actually start calling them that. So which means, communication, emotion, the texture of the voice, owning your story, your vulnerability, all of that is becoming more and more important in this age to establish authenticity, to establish trust. And all of this works beautifully in a brand context also. So I just wanted our listeners to, just leave this in their minds.
Absolutely, Ganesh. Typical T20 format. We thought the match was about to wind down. And there comes the
No,
cameo player in the last over, hitting boundary after boundary. Thank you, Ganesh.
thanks. Yeah, thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, which is a pleasure
Oh,
anytime. and being here is an honor. Thanks.
And for all of you listening in, standing out happens only when your voice is lived. First comes your own image. You're responsible for it. After image, ideas. Ideas give way to position, and the position comes down with the voice that feels true, the texture that Ganesh spoke about. Standing out is not about being louder, it's about being recognizable when it matters. One idea every week, stand out in 60 seconds. Till we meet again. Thank you very much, folks.